welcome back to The Best Thing You Watched this week with Chris from Movies and Munchies, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. We have The Best Thing We Watched weekly podcast. First bit is YouTube and on the podcast, but if you want to see the whole thing, hear the whole thing, then you can go to wherever you listen to your podcast, and we do entertainment news there this week and what we're looking forward to, and always some extra little goodies there. So do check that out. And also it really helps us if you are enjoying the podcast that you just kind of rate quickly, one line like this is the best ever, the two guys are so handsome, they should be up for
5 stars
handsome awards, best beard ever, 5 stars, all of that. But I'm very excited to get into what we've got going on this week. It's been an interesting week as it is in our world at the moment, which is why I really am liking escapism at the moment, because we've gone from a certain person being president to COVID for 2 years, and now threatenings of World War III. So I really need some escapism, which is why I think this podcast is quite cathartic.
Yes.
What do you think, Chris?
I agree. Yes, a little bit of escapism is definitely needed. So, yeah.
So, your question. Do you have a question for us today?
I do have a question. This one is not very serious. Hopefully it's easy to answer, but we will see. Okay. Do you have a favorite coffee mug? If so, what is on it, or what makes it your favorite?
Okay. Okay. I have many really cool coffee mugs because I'm a geek and I collect them. And every now and again we have to do a cull because we've got too much, and I can't drink out of all of these. But my favorite is the one I'm currently drinking out of. It's from my wife. Can you see what that says? It's backwards in mine.
I don't need to. It's a little. I've got a glare. Yeah, catch them all. One, you're enough. Oh, very sweet. Very sweet.
Yes. So we're a big fan of Pokemon. Have been, and so instead I've got to catch them all, and that came at a time where we're going through a difficult time. So getting a little bit personal, but yeah. And then she brought that out and said, I only need you, babe. And I was like, score.
That's awesome.
I win. On. Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. What's your favorite?
Mine, actually, I'm drinking out of mine too. I have a lot. We have a lot of coffee mugs, and like
Amazing.
we have to do a cull every once in a while too, because it just gets ridiculous. Especially because I like buying them for my wife, because she loves squirrels, and so she has a lot of squirrel mugs, or mugs with squirrels on them. They're not actually shaped like squirrels, but anyway, I digress. Mine, so I have two really, but mine, the one that I have, I don't know if you can see your fatal. There we go.
Oh yeah, it's adjusted. Troy and Arbit in the morning, amazing. I love that.
Yes, so
that just gets the song in my head.
I know, right? Yeah, my wife got that one for me. It's oh my gosh, they're so good, right? And so yeah, it was when Community was going on, they had launched a store, and she was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna buy that," and so she gave it to me as a present, and it was just outstanding. So yeah,
amazing
good stuff.
Excuse the view going up and just my head going down. I'm trying to adjust my eyeline so it looks like I'm looking at you. Now I look like a really small person or just a talking head.
Ruben hit the elevator button and has gone to the next floor.
Going down.
Going down.
Ding.
Next floor.
Yeah.
Women's lingerie.
How does this look? Is this comfortable? Or was it uncomfortable, Chris?
That looks you look a little low to me. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
All right. Let's going up. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, right there. That's it. There.
Okay.
That looks. There yes. Now, see, I could do that with my desk, except my camera's not attached to my desk, so nothing would actually happen.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
We answered your question. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Should we dive in, you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
What's the best thing you watched this week, Chris?
Two things. Which one is old, one is new, and they kind of tie in together. But so Vikings Valhalla, which this one, I have not seen the original series. Have you seen the original series?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't. So I went into this just as a newbie, and the thing that reassured me that I could do so is because it was set 100 years in the future, from when
absolutely.
Vikings was going on. And so I was like, oh, okay.
I can say you're not missing much, like in terms of, because it's a new story, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was sucked in. I mean, it took a little bit to get sucked in, but you know what? That's because I've been also binging The Last Kingdom. And
I'm in exactly the same place.
they're because they're
too many Vikings.
Yeah, well, and they're happening right at the same time, just with different focus, and even some of the people kind of are the same, even though the actors aren't the same. But in one
some
of
of
them,
the names, encounters are same people. Yeah.
Yeah. I found this one to be a lot of fun. I mean, especially because it followed more so of Leif Erikson, and and his sister, and so that was
the Greenlanders.
Yes, and even the mention of Eric the Red, and just getting a little bit like I've heard of was that his name, Eric the Red? Is that what I think I'd heard the name mentioned before, but it didn't really mean anything to me. And this, they gave a little bit of context. I didn't spend much time on that, but just that this dude was a bad dude. I mean, he was a berserker. He killed to kill, not only just to to take over something, but then he just would kill. And so
it's in his blood. Yeah. It was who he was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so you see, how that affects the children and that storyline, but also how they're working to, I don't know, get past that. The show was very engaging, at points. Like I found myself on the edge of my seat more than a couple of times.
I agree.
I think to the bridge scene where the episode starts out, and I'm like, oh, seriously? They're showing us the end of the episode before it's all began, and we're just going to flashback. And I liked that.
Yeah, because I normally don't like that style. Yeah.
Well, because and I liked that it was kind of out of context, even though you can kind of tell what's going on. The context for how it begins, which is really the end, is not really how it plays out. You know what I mean? Like even though you see him, the context that we're led to believe,
because you have an idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yes.
That's not the case. Yeah.
Exactly. So when the show ends, I'm like, okay, I'm on the edge of my seat there.
I was like, how dare you end it like that? Oh, but I have to say, there were so many cool bits, like things I wasn't expecting, like surfboards. If you've watched the show, you know what I'm talking about.
So cool.
Brilliant. Like, and it was so tense, and I was just like, this is genius. I really hope this is the case, because I know they've taken factual stuff that's happened around England, and there's many places I was watching during the series, like, I know that.
Oh,
and I was like,
cool.
oh, London Bridge did fall down. Before it was really London Bridge. But the sets were so good. I have to say, I was in love with the costume design, especially for when the Vikings go to their sacred place. The woman that wears, like, she's got white makeup, this weird crown, lavish gown, and she just kind of appears. And I was like, she's magic. Yeah. I suppose that's what they want us. They do play a bit more into the mystery and the magics a bit from the Vikings. I thought more so than The Last Kingdom, which I liked. It kind of sets itself apart, and I really like the idea of following this one close-knit family, seeing their paths, because then because the world they're building is massive. And you have all these players and all these kings, and everybody's betraying, everybody, very much like Game of Thrones. You kind of don't know who you can trust from one episode to the next. So it really helps having that family, Leif Erikson, in seeing where they start up. They have their mission of vengeance, and then they end up, in a very different place. The Shield Maiden story was excellent. I was thoroughly entertained by that. I thought it was really fun.
Freydis is brutal.
More. Like, I hope. Oh, she's fantastic. Love it. But unfortunately, I think the series, I can see their characters, Leif Erikson and Freydis, fighting each other because of where he's drawn to. That will not gel with her. And I don't want it to happen because they're like my favorite characters. And I don't know about you, but in episode 8, halfway through the episode, there's a brutal moment, but there's a character that I literally sat up and shouted, "No!" Because I was like, "Why? You can't do this to me."
There were actually several times in that where I'm like,
"Oh yeah," but I think that one hurt me the most. I was like,
"Is it?" Well, there was two that I think of that I really liked. One was higher in power, and one was more friend level. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about friend level. Yeah.
Okay. I was pissed. Really. I'm like, seriously? Come on. No. That just... But what that then sets up for some action and the look is like, ooh, you have just unleashed something that
that harks back to his heritage.
Yes.
Without doing massive spoiler. I was like, oh, we know where that's going then. Because I guarantee season 2, it's going to start with that.
Oh, yeah.
Just, he's now got a name. He nothing really else to live for except for that vengeance. And he knows who he wants to take down. He'll have a big mission again. Yeah. And I'm all for it because I felt the same way. I was like,
yeah, it was, so wrong. I mean, I understand they do it for the story and it makes sense within the story, but oh, come on. Just, did you like, what is his name? Jarl Korra? The bald, long-bearded assassin monk dude?
Redbeard.
Did he have a red beard? Yeah, he was the one, he was like the Christian zealot who was after Freydis for a while. Actually,
oh my gosh, loved him.
That dude is... He's perfect.
He's a bad
villain.
guy.
Yeah.
Like the leader. Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought he was so scary. This show needed him 100%. Like they needed that guy that we wanted to hate so that when we came up against him, we were so there for like, oh my gosh, you're fighting this guy. He seems like he knows how to fight. He knows your ways, until it's revealed why he knows. We're like, why does he know? Like, why is he so set against the Vikings? Some people just think they're, because it's a religious thing, but he was like, these guys are evil. I'm going to wipe every single one off the face of the planet, and you felt like he could do it.
Yeah. Well, and basically doing genocide. At least from a belief standpoint, He was
like a warlord that you get in like in Africa now, like I'd equate him to one of those. Like, man, such great presence as well.
Yeah, he was. He brought a lot of tension, a lot of fear, or just dread, because that because of what we've seen all the aftermath that he does, that he is ruthless, and so he won't think twice. Anybody in his way that is against his beliefs, that he has no qualms about. Just you're done. Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
I would suggest, though, that anybody watching this series, Vikings Valhalla, that not to watch it alongside The Last Kingdom. Because even now, my mind trying to differentiate the two storylines of who the characters are, because of the similarities of the stories, even though they're different actors, they play a lot of the same characters. And you're like, what's happening with this guy? I thought they were doing that thing.
I was,
because I'm halfway through season 3 now of The Last Kingdom.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And I'm like, my brain is like, I'm all Viking. I basically walk down the kitchen, like, give me meat, woman. And then, I get shouted
at. Slapped.
Yeah. Where's my meat? Wench? Yeah, no.
Doesn't go over well.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm halfway through season 2, and when I paused Last Kingdom to then watch Valhalla all the way through, and when I got back to Last Kingdom, I'm like, wait, what's going on now? Who is that? Why are they there? Oh, that's right. Okay, this. But wait, who are you? Oh, just yeah, a lot of little bit of confusion there.
I do feel like how you can differentiate it, I guess, is the cinematography of Vikings Valhalla feels more expensive. It feels like they have more of a budget. And The Last Kingdom feels more drama to TV episode. So some of the episodes I could see Vikings Valhalla like being on at the cinema. You know, there's one, the grand scope of it feels bigger than The Last Kingdom, even though The Last Kingdom still has big battles and, you know, it just feels that much bigger. Whether that'll be the case for the new series, I don't know. But I believe there's also a feature film coming for The Last Kingdom. So we have that final 5th season and then the film to finish it off completely, which I'm hoping is going to be great because I am absolutely in love with The Last Kingdom. I don't know why we took so long to start watching it. You know, I think it was a week ago or a week and a half ago we started, maybe 2 weeks, but you know, I'm 3.5 seasons in, and that just goes to show, you know, there's other shows I should have been watching, and I don't want to. I'm watching The Last Kingdom.
I'm struggling with the things that I have the advanced screeners for that I need to watch to review, but it's like, no, I really want to watch this. I'm invested in this right now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And okay, tear myself away and.
Yes, I know, like first world problems, but
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Talking about new things, I watched something that was new to us, but not like brand new. But my wife and I were big fans of the series Dexter, which is it's about the serial killer, and it finished over a few years ago on the 8th season, and the 8th season, like Game of Thrones, split fans massively. Like they just didn't like the way it ended. So they brought him back for Dexter New Blood. And that has kind of split fans again, but not because it isn't good. So this was very interesting. We started watching it and we were hooked instantly. We're like, this is good. It's really well shot. It's really tense. And the story kind of makes sense of where the character would be. It's 10 years later from the character. He's kind of given up killing. Like he's trying to be a good boy. But then something happens his son comes back into his life, and that all kind of stirs up his dark side. He calls his dark passenger. And they're wondering whether his son has that as well, like whether it follows from family, because when he was a baby, he saw his mother get cut up with a chainsaw in a cardboard container, and his son has seen the same, like his mother die in front of him with another serial killer. So there's all these similarities. So that's where the story starts. He's under a new name. There's 10 episodes, very easily bingeable. But the last episode, it finishes so abruptly that it just feels like they were building up this hype. They were just going for it, right? And then it finishes like, and that's it. A massive anticlimax. And all the things that we were hoping that was going to happen, like, because it doesn't happen, I guess I could say it. We were hoping that the son would take over the killing, basically, and become that vigilante killer of serial killers, and have him, Dexter Morgan, on the table, and do the same thing like how he does it, and pass over that kind of mantle. That would have been justice. And in fact, him as that character would have gone, yeah, I guess I'm the biggest monster of them all. I do need to be taken. This is your first proper kill by yourself. That would have been, it felt like full circle. Or having him chased by all the people that have now come to know who he is, and being that hunted, somehow being killed like that. But the way it ends is just like a kick in the face, going, and that's over. And you're like, but why bring him back if you're not going to finish it big and right?
Well, and I think that's what's surprising, because the reason they brought it back was because of all the fan backlash of, you didn't do this character justice at the end. Like, now I haven't seen, I'm only in season 2, because this has become a very, very, very casual watch that I just kind of go back to every now and then. So I don't know the whole trajectory of the story and everything, but seeing what I saw from reactions online, that Ugh, okay, season 8, not really what we wanted, not how it wraps up. And then you have, all the excitement comes from, hey, this is
Yeah.
good, just like you're saying. And then to see, and yet you don't stick the landing again. That,
It's so painful because it was a really good season. It's really well acted. They did do this thing where, because it's been 10 years, it feels like he no longer has the intelligence that he did as a serial killer back then. And I don't buy it because of the amount of kills. I think by now he's had hundreds. And I just don't buy it, like, written like that character. Even if he'd been resting, everything he had learned as a blood splatter analyst, and as a serial killer, like what he's learned together, he takes those, and he's an intelligent guy. He's strong, fit. And it just comes across like he's thick, like he's letting his emotions rule him. And because his son is in his life, he's all the rules that he set up, he's not obeying. And you're like, I don't buy it. And if you're going to do that with a character, you've got to make the audience buy it.
yeah.
And that's the whole time we were going through. This is well shot. It's an interesting story. But if he was still intelligent, you can still be caught out with your intelligence because other people are intelligent as well. Cops aren't stupid, even though we make them out to be on TV a lot of the times. When you get an intelligent detective with an intelligent serial killer, that is really interesting watching. Silence of the Lambs is classic. Really mind, mano y mano, but with mind powers.
Yeah.
So much fun. You think about David Fincher's
7
serial killer series. 7.
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter.
Yeah, Mindhunter.
Incredible. So dark, and we all want season 3 of that. We know we're never going to get it, but yeah, so that was disappointing because it is on the best thing I watched this week because I loved seeing the character again and other, surprise guests, and the story was fun, and seeing the interaction between father and son again. You're wondering what's going to happen, which is why not sticking the landing again for the second time felt like a double punch. You're like, come on.
That, well, and the writers had to have known that this was a one and done, right? So you go in.
That's the thing. I don't think it is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and that's not to say that someone's not going to die. It's just that they could do something else with it, which I don't want.
Oh, okay. But see that. Okay. Well, that's.
Because you're up to season 2, so you know that he has his dad is the one, or his surrogate father, the police officer, is the one that trained him and gave him the code, and he sees him like as a ghost and like vision, like he's always talking to him, but he's dead, right?
Yeah.
In this season, I can't spoil that for you because that's going to spoil. There's someone else that's talking to him, and I think for them to carry on, they're going to do the same thing. And you understand when you get there, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, I did a segue from Vikings there, but what was the other thing that you enjoyed watching this week? The best thing?
Well, it is Vikings themed. It's The Last Kingdom. That's one of my ones that I.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It and we already touched on it, but it's just I'm sucked into the show, and it's. I think I started it a little bit before last week. So I don't know. Yeah. A week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks now, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Not too long, but it's bingeable. Everybody, in the comments keep saying, oh my gosh, it's great. It's great. I have seen some that is like, season 4 kind of just, it falls off a little bit, and it's,
oh no, don't tell me that,
and so I don't know. And I don't know exactly why. And I'm curious because I will be binging it, really, you know what I mean? From not week to week, or even not season, and then waiting a year and then season, and waiting 2 years and season. It's so maybe it will hold up more, or maybe it'll fall apart more. I don't really know. I just know
I'm really glad I haven't had to wait, because in between those endings, tough.
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking forward to. I'm like chomping at the bit to get back to finish out season 2. They go into season 3, and so it's, I love the characters. Uhtred is not always the smartest.
Uhtred is frustrating because he could make life so much easier for himself, but the way the character's written, but he doesn't. He needs to choose a camp. I think that's the issue. He doesn't know whether he's Viking or Saxon, and he can't choose one or the other.
Yeah, well, and I think because he's so bound by honor, but also to his own desires. You know, I mean, he's at least where I'm at, he's still trying to reclaim his land, to get, you know, and from his uncle who is trying to kill him. And so that struggle of him, because that then legitimizes, that then also gives him not revenge, but at least justice within his family line, you know, and then, but then he also has, you know, he needs to take out, he's sworn to kill Kjartan with his brother. And it just,
I really like his brother.
I do too. I've been bummed that we haven't seen, at least where I'm at, we haven't seen a ton of Brita this season. That she's...
Yeah, they've kind of stepped back with her character and made her whatever she is now in your storyline.
Yeah, she's there. Oh, she's still captive by Alfred. So is Ragnarsson. But he is or what's his name? That's his last name. Pooh. Anyway, he, because the brother is sent to find Uhtred. That's where, because Uhtred had been sold to slavery,
captured.
Yeah, and so he's sad. But that's
horrific storyline.
And sad. Just oh goodness. He is a frustrating character.
Made you like the character even more.
I'm still drawn to him, even with all those frustrations, where I've become invested.
He's not perfect, so
not by any means.
And I think that it's clever. Yeah. So even though he's the good guy, he's making stupid decisions, and you're like, seriously.
Yes.
For once, choose your family, or just decide, because being split really doesn't help you or anyone.
Yeah.
Because you can't save everybody. When the two sides meet and you're in the middle and you're meant to be fighting for both sides, what do you do?
Yeah. Exactly.
You have to choose.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't, they both hate you, and then you're in an even worse place.
Well, yeah, you haven't accomplished anything. He's got it. He will. I feel that at some point a big choice is going to be coming. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
He could do like brave Sir Ruben, who bravely ran away. Brave Sir Ruben.
We just watched Holy Grail a couple of weeks ago. That's awesome.
Did you?
Yeah. I was working out in the garage. There you go. Hey, should we had discussed off air of doing a little bit of a top list while we were talking about this. Is this, you think, a good time to insert that in really quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
We'll do our top Viking themed ish movies and shows. So they could be Anyway, okay. You want to go first? You hit off with your number 5. I don't know. Did you rank them?
Not really, but I guess I kind of will.
Yeah,
in 1999, there was a film called The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas, from the author of Jurassic Park and the director of Die Hard. And that's more than enough for me. But I love the learning of the language in this. There's this bit, it always sticks in my mind. He can't speak the language. Antonio Banderas he's obviously not Viking. Sia says to them, we need to defeat these evil monsters, and they think they're actual monsters because they're slashing people with like claws and wearing bear cloaks, I think it was, or something like that. And they were cannibals or something. This other clan that they had to destroy. Anyway, so he ends up that the seer says he needs to be the 13th warrior for the mission to succeed. And so the Viking leader at the time says, okay, he's coming with us, and for some reason he accepts. And then as time passes, as they're traveling back to their camp, it just starts picking up a little bit of words, and then eventually, as months pass, he spouts like a line, and you're like, oh, he's learned the language, and the Vikings are stunned. And I always remember that bit. It was just great because it was a really clever way of like, technically he should know or be able to communicate with them, and learning a language. They've stated things like he picks up languages quickly, that kind of thing. I'm good with languages, and therefore over this, it's ridiculous, but it was a believable little mechanic that I thought, yeah, that's so cool. But having his culture clash with the Vikings, I thought was excellent, because he's got like the scimitar sword. And even that they laugh at him, like, what can a man do with this puny sword? And then you see him fight, and they're like, okay, you can join us again. But there were so many great honor moments in that film. One of the Viking leaders dies at some point, but he dies on his throne, watching his kingdom, and he's got like spears and arrows through him, but he hasn't moved, like he hasn't left. And I was just like, he's going to Valhalla, man. Have you seen it? Do you remember it?
I don't know, honestly. And I don't know if I've read the book, because it's been so long. If I have, like, it would be, if I have seen it, it would be like watching it over again. Now I probably halfway through would be like, oh yeah, I totally remember this, but I don't have any memory of actually seeing it. So I'm gonna check it out though. Make sure.
Yeah, you should put it on your list. I think you'll find it's really fun. I mean, just from Die Hard and those, it's action heavy, but it actually has decent character development, which is really fun.
That's good. Right on. First time I Beowulf. This is I don't know what year it was from, but it's the animated one. Yeah, well, the like motion capture, the weird animation one.
It's like CGI and
ish. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Now it's been a while since I've seen
Angelina Jolie.
She's like, yes, she's in it yes.
The witch monster thing.
Yeah. Now I loved the epic poem when I was in school. I mean, that's what drew this.
It is an epic poem.
Yeah. So I loved that. I don't know how well this holds up. It's been forever since I've seen it. And I'm sure the animation feels dated within it, but I remember
2007.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a little old there. But yeah, I remember enjoying it. And I think maybe more so even because I like the story so much. That's, and just his quest that way. So I don't know. I do need to rewatch it, I think, just to see, do I still feel the same way about this?
I reckon it might stand up a bit. The graphics won't. But Neil Gaiman is the adapted writer.
Oh.
And, he's a genius.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. What's next on your list?
Although saying that, directed by Robert Zemeckis.
That's okay. Yes, because it came out. This is after Polar Express, right?
Polar Express.
But it's
you need a hot cup of chocolate.
Yeah, but it still has a little bit of that detached look. That oddness to it.
Yeah, we haven't quite got it right yet.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Can you guess what's next on my list?
Vikings?
No, but that is a good one. No,
Outlander?
Yeah, but not the series, the movie with Jim Caviezel.
I have not seen this. I saw that on IMDb.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't.
Have you not seen this
movie? I didn't even know it existed.
Watch it.
Okay.
It's so much fun. The CG is a bit dated now because, again, this is 2008. But during the reign of the Vikings, Canaan, a man from a far-off world crash lands on Earth, bringing with him an alien predator known as the Morwen. This is such a cool, fun, interesting, because he lands, so he's an alien because he's not from Earth. But he is humanoid. He has like this really cool armor and a spaceship. The beginning of the film is basically a war between these creatures and these guys. And then it ends up him going to Earth, crash landing. His ship crashes like in the water. And then he has his armor that's all breaking. So he's like, a fish out of water, basically. But he didn't know that one of these creatures had followed him. And the creature happens to coincide with like a myth of being a dragon.
Oh.
And so the Vikings know like something's killing their people. And so he knows what it is. So he joins up with the Vikings. Eventually they, start trusting him. And, so it's this really cool mission, but like some of like what the abilities of the dragon has is very cool. Just great action, and I think it was like a couple of years after Caviezel had done Passion of the Christ. Okay. And so all the memes were out then, it was like Jesus fighting with Vikings, which was funny. I told you he was an alien, my friends would say. It's just so much fun. Yeah, I've seen it a number of times. It's guilty pleasure for sure. Like, it's not going to win Oscars, but it will win you heart for escapism.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've never heard of it, so it's on the list. That's awesome. Okay, sweet.
All right, what's next on yours?
Mine is a series which is bittersweet because it's been canceled, and they're going to do their final third season, I think, coming soon, but Ragnarok. Which is, is it kind of Vikings? I'm going to consider it Vikings. At least it uses Norse mythology. We'll just go there.
Modern Viking.
Modern Viking, yeah. But it's I'm intrigued by how they're doing the characters, and we finally get Loki at the end of season 2 as becoming Loki. And now to hear, that they have canceled the series and that this last one is going to be it, that's a bummer. Because I don't think that's...
I'm so excited for season 3. I hope they go big. Because that little Easter egg that they gave us at the end with the snake, which is meant to be the world snake.
Yeah, that eats the world.
The North mythology. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I hope it's flipping awesome. It needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why not? I mean, if you're going out, then do it. Go huge and just, yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great choice. As you said, Vikings was next on my list because it's fantastic. I don't think I need to talk about it too much. There's been 4 or 5 seasons. It goes through, like, there's no ways I can recap all of those seasons. Just, if you love Vikings, if you love The Last Kingdom, if you loved Vikings Valhalla, it's all along the same lines, along the same time period. I think it spans like 50 years. And you follow one particular family character again, and then it branches out. I like that it spends more time outside of England before they get to England. Okay. So there's a good few episodes of establishing their world and then why they're going on raids and why they're raiding, the whole reason. There's a good passing of the torch between father and sons, and you rarely get to see the great halls, they build with each Jarl lives. I've missed that. We get some of that in the other seasons, but if they're actually at home, it just feels much more authentic, surrounded by snow and ice and fighting. That's, for me, I want the snow and the ice and fighting polar bears and dragons and whatnot, because that's what Vikings do. It's fantastic.
Cool. Following in my not really Vikings, but it's Norse mythology sort of, Thor Ragnarok.
I mean, all of Thor's stuff ready. They're the gods, the Viking gods. So I get
exactly.
it.
And this one just because it's so much fun. I mean, the ad-libbing.
We're work friends. We're work buddies.
Exactly. I mean, Jeff Goldblum stealing the scenes. The whole thing. It's a lot of fun. It is one of those escapism movies, but I find myself really invested in the character. And so, in the whole storyline of just, the arc that he goes on and that they all go on. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I do love the fact that Ragnarok basically opens with him destroying Ragnarok and then fighting a dragon.
Yes.
And as a film opening goes, you don't get much better than that.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Here's one you might not have heard of. This is called Vinland Saga. It's an anime. It's a historical and adventure manga written and illustrated by Makoto Yomori. It focuses on Thorfinn, the fictionalization of an Icelandic explorer, Thorfinn. It won like a number of awards. It just did very well. It deals with Vikings, like series, like Vikings. I would equate it to, I guess, like the series, like on Amazon currently. I think if you love anime and if you love Vikings, I think you're going to like the style of it. If you've seen Berserker anime at all, you're going to like that. I think it's just fun. If you love anime and you love Vikings, I think you'll get quite emotionally engaged. It's a contained story as far as I know. I don't think there's any more. So it's 26 episodes and then it's done. So you can, put that on your list. You had me at anime and you had me at Vikings, and then you give me good characters to enjoy. I can't ask for much more than
nice.
That. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think that's all of my list.
What was that called again?
Vinland Saga.
Okay.
Vinland.
Okay.
Or Saga, however you want to pronounce that. Sega. Yeah.
I got my controller, my 6-button arcade controller for my Sega Genesis. Ooh,
so
I can play some of my fighting games without having to press the button to switch, kick, and punch. That's all on your list? Okay, yeah. I've got one more. And this is Vikings, but not the show Vikings.
Okay.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Good choice.
We watched all 3 of them a couple weeks ago, and I cried every time. The emotion that is in it, it's so good.
It's very
I had forgotten. It had been, I don't think I have seen the 3rd movie since I saw it in the theater. And so I was rewatching that one.
Okay.
And it was just, I mean, the swell of emotion in this. And even like the 2nd movie, like I'm like, did this happen in this? Is this happening in this? And I'm like, I'm only remembering bits and pieces. So it was outstanding. And I've seen the first one so much that I can quote it along with the movie, which doesn't bother me at all. I love it. From the animation, from the way that they have crafted Toothless to make him so cat and dog like, and just
it makes it very realistic. Because we all have, a lot of people have dogs and cats as pets and family.
Yeah,
right?
how do you not fall in love with those mannerisms and with that then? And so it's great feel good movie. So there you go. Really
good choice. Yeah. I'm not sure if I did 5, but my 5th was going to be Vikings Valhalla, which we've covered a lot.
Yes. Well, I would put Last Kingdom in there also, which we've also covered. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the last best thing I watched was a thing I was late for this morning, which is why we were late. So I'll talk about it. So I don't often talk about games on this, but because it's the story is written by George R.R. Martin from Game of Thrones, and so that was one thing that had me very excited. But it's true Dark Souls. Like, if anybody knows anything about Dark Souls, it's really, really hard. Like, it's frustratingly hard. Thankfully, the thing that has got really going for it is it's open world. And so if you come up against a guy that's just kicking your butt, you can go, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. Turn around and go explore somewhere else. And that's what I love. So the reason why I'm talking about it as the best thing I watched, because it's visual like a Game of Thrones storyline, because it's been written like that. They spent years on it between the developers and the writer himself. They've been like embedding everything that makes a Dark Souls game a Dark Souls game. And then you embed that story of that fantasy realm that Mr. Martin is so good at, and obviously Mr. Martin's gonna use every excuse under his hood not to continue writing his last book, so he's just getting involved in everything else. But come on, Mr. Martin.
Oh, well, I don't think you've said the name of this game, because you're not actually talking about Dark Souls, right?
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so Elden Ring came out this week, and I think pretty much everybody's going to have heard about it, even if you're not a gamer. You know, they've had trailers, it's big marketing, it's probably one of the biggest titles in games this year. But games have come so far where they have their own stories, you know, very cinematic, triple A voice acting, you know, I think the gaming industry has double the amount of revenue made than cinema and TV did last year. So it's big industry, so it makes sense that they're pushing more money into that. But the thing with the Dark Souls games is a lot of the time people have no idea what the hell is going on with the storyline. Like, what is actually happening? I see a big monster. You said something random about my soul. I don't get it. You kind of have to hunt around for the story and listen to like the little scripts of the random NPCs. This one kind of does the same, but actually has a sort of understanding of what's going on. You've got to get the Elden Ring to stop the world from falling apart from rot, basically.
Okay.
And so, like, there is one ring to bind them all. And so that is your goal. You've got to start gathering that up. And along the way, you have your horse. For the first time, you can jump in the games, and you have a horse that can double jump in this game, which makes it like everybody is like, you could jump in a game? What? I know, but Dark Souls never allowed you to, unless you could like jumping over ledges, and it was like an automatic mechanic that allowed you to do that. This time, we're going vertical. But I think the thing that everybody will talk about is between the story, it just looks beautiful. Like, it's such a vibrant fantasy world. And that's not normally something you say about Dark Souls games, because they're just dark. They look good, but they're dark. This one has much more vibrant in color. So they've taken their mix of Sekiro, which was their ninja game, and Dark Souls, put everything in there, and then given us a really interesting world and story. And so I was, you know, I was like, it's hard, but I want to play it, which is a good place to be.
Have they estimated how long gameplay is, like, to complete the story?
I think that ranges massively according to your skill.
Well, sure.
Because I know lots of people just will like speed run it through and probably do it in like a few hours even. You know, they'll probably find all these. But if you want to explore all the worlds, there's like 8 major bosses, and then there's 100 mini boss dungeons, and then there's probably at least 1,000 or 2,000 things for you to do, like side quests and things to find, and different weapons. You have, I think, 8 different classes or 10 different classes to choose from, and each of them has like their own story and abilities of the way things are opened up, and then it's up to you how you do it. You can speed the game, like forcing you to be in a certain part when you open a certain chest, and it takes you to a different location. Like, it's so well thought out and mapped, which is why it takes so long to build these games, because the game has so many different answers according to the I guess the gamer, the type of choices you make as a gamer will influence your journey as that, which is why people love playing the Dark Souls games over and over, because even today they're still finding things that they didn't know that was in the game. So I think games have come so far that they're vying for top spot of, you know, between TV and cinema. When you are that hero and got a good story, like how you know, the next thing is in virtual reality, VR being as good as those games. We'll never leave the couch, man.
Well, and you know, with the world the way that it has been the last couple of years, I mean, exactly. It allows itself to provide a different type of escapism for us. Yeah. Oh, very cool. I didn't know that George R.R. Martin had written the story for this. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. I'll be the first person to say, if you don't like hard games, don't play it. But this one may be a good in. I'm not saying it's like easier. There's no easy mode in this. Every single thing can kill you, you know. But you do feel a sense of achievement, and you can just explore. Like you can run away from bosses, you can hide and sneak, and I'm doing a lot of that. I'm doing like, look at that guy, he's the size of a tree, like a giant oak tree. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Creatures and character designs are just so much fun in this. I like to look at the bad guys, but I don't want to fight them.
Sure, yeah.
It's like, you look amazing. Don't see me.
That's awesome. Oh, fun. All right.
Have you got anything else you want to
Yeah, you know
about?
what? Last night I rewatched CODA.
How long's it been since you've seen that?
I think it's been a couple of months. I think the last time I watched it is when it debuted on Apple TV Plus. So what, fallish or summerish, something like that last year? Because I had seen it at Sundance.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I watched that Christmas
time.
So
maybe late fall or right around there. Yeah. And it just, I mean,
was it as good this time?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm still just wildly invested in it. More than ever, I want it to win. I hope it wins. I wish it wins Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor. I don't think it's going to, but I think it really, I would love to see it do that. I still laughed a ton. I mean, even though I know what's coming up, in it. And just, I think the whole storytelling is just very sweet and dramatic, because it has this touch of realism that we go on this journey with Ruby and just, of her. And it's really a very small portion of time that we are there. But within that, I mean, there's so many different dynamics that the family goes through and struggles that they have to overcome, amidst themselves, but then also with the outside world. And I mean, every time it gets me towards the end where she's auditioning for the music school and she begins to sign as she sings because her parents are up in the balcony. And that
hits
oh
me
my
hard.
gosh. It just gave me chills now thinking about it. It's because it
was so honoring as well.
Yeah. And it's so expressive at that moment. You know what I mean? Like what you want from any type of entertainer is you want them to be like invested in their craft,
in what they're delivering. Absolutely. You can tell when a person's bored or
holding back type of thing. You know what I mean? And you see her
like really give it your all.
Yeah. And the moment that she does that, that's when she shines. And it's like, oh, and I like and hate all at the same time how the movie chose to hold that back until that moment, even though we saw her do this performance where her parents are at, when she does it at the school and they're sitting there and there's I think it's about a minute long of absolute silence where we go from the perspective of her family and they're just looking around, and they're seeing things happen and they're seeing people be emotional at what's happening on stage and stuff, but they have no context for what's being said or sung, any of that. And like, you just wish at that moment, because she knows that they don't know what's going on. And you want her at that moment to be expressive within it, and do some of the signing. But it makes the payoff, I guess, that much more better or bigger when we do get it. But
nice. Yeah, my wife still hasn't seen this. I'm trying to, like, I keep saying to you, you gotta watch this. I think I'm gonna have to sit her down, and because once you start, you're so invested. This is a good segue, actually, just to maybe talk a little bit about the Oscars for a moment, because we want this to win. But just this week, they came out saying that these 8 awards will not be live televised, and they've been, I understand they've been shortening their ceremony because it costs lots of money, and people's attention span, because they want the general audience to watch, and not just people that are invested in the awards, or people that from their production studios or cast crew, whoever's around that might have an actual investment in that particular project that's up for an award. They want more than that. I don't see why, though, because either you are like us, you're invested in films, or you used to love watching Oscars, and It's something that you do with your family. It's like one of those, like Eurovision, like some people just sit around the TV and watch that every year. Now, not taking the time, because it used to be 4.5 hours, and fair enough, that's long. But if it has to be 4.5 hours long, then it has to be 4.5 hours long. It's an event where you're meant to be praising the ability of people that have put their heart and souls into a project that, depending on the project, could have taken up to 5 years from, birth to finishing project to getting it out there. And in today's society, with the money that they've probably had to raise to get it out, with the COVID, no cinema releases, all of that, it's a real feat to get your film behind screens for people to watch. So when you take awards like editing, as we're just going to do that off air, or short film, which is often the place where people cut their teeth on, and the award for the person that's going to come next, like, there's a high probability that the next film they do wins an Oscar because they've just won a short. Then someone invests in them. We've seen it happen. Like, oh yeah, they won a short last year and this is their film now for best documentary or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I get it. I just feel like it's a real slap in the face to all of those people.
I agree. And, when we talk about the length of the show, there are extraneous portions that can be cut out. Let's just look at, we've gone
exactly
with 3 years with no hosts. Okay, that doesn't go over too well from a broadcast standpoint. But now you've got 3, and so you've got extra time that is then just spent with them discussing, talking back and forth, delivering their lines, doing some kind of weird skit that probably doesn't work. Cut out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
and give the time to these other categories that, honestly, if these categories didn't exist within the film wouldn't work at all. The editing, is cinematography in this, or is it? I don't remember which 8 it was, but it was like there's something with.
There were a few big ones. I mean, and I don't like even saying that. Like, every award is big in its own right.
Absolutely. These people they contributed to the film. There is an awards category for it, and they have been recognized for that. So show them on TV along with everybody else. And I know that in years past, I mean, even many years ago, when the show was long, they had started moving some of the smaller, and I say smaller, but what they considered to be smaller awards to like the hours before or in the morning of the broadcast. And so, you would get little clips of that during the broadcast. But it felt, I don't know, I don't agree that, it really is. And you figure that I don't think the Oscars, the awards ceremony, the broadcast itself is doing it itself any favors by behaving in this way. You know what I mean? Like you've brought 3 hosts that are questionable, at least together. I mean, I'm still, is it Regina King? Is one of them? See, I would like her just by herself. Yeah. I think she would be good. But you're I don't know. I'm just.
It's bonkers. I don't get it. And I can just tell what's going to happen this year. We're going to have forced jokes that aren't going to land with the 3. It's going to be a waste of time. They're going to have some show pieces like musical numbers, which is fine. But again, we don't need them. We've had times where you get an opening number and then they get straight into it. Yes. And that works. All it needs is someone that is charismatic enough to carry the show. We've had it. Hugh Jackman. There's been others that have managed to be funny as themselves. You like them. And so you watch them deliver or introduce the next person that's going to say, and these, nominated categories are blah, blah, blah. And you can do that. But I also can tell that this year's, and I really hope they don't, that a lot of them are going to use the platform to bring awareness to what's going on in the world at the moment. And I just don't think that's the place to do it. I think you should be celebrating each other and what it's there for, because then you come off like, okay, now you're trying to make yourself look good because you've mentioned that, and you're all, it's not, at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything. You're
sure.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
Maybe
I don't know. I mean, I appreciate to some degree using the platform that you have, but I think using it in one avenue like that, if it's not what you're already putting out, it comes across as disingenuous. You know what I mean? Like if you're not already in your regular social media or your personal life standing up for whatever cause you're going to be talking about at the Oscars in your award speech, you're just on the bandwagon at that point. And it...
Oh, but that's what happens every year. So this year it will be, hopefully it hasn't progressed further with what we're experiencing at the moment, but then it's just going to be, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but that's, yeah. Unless your lifestyle actually reflects what you're saying up here right now, then that's not right.
Agreed.
Anywho, the last thing I wanted to talk about before we jump into news and stuff, I guess, unless you have other...
no, but are we gonna save our news for the podcast? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
But yes, go ahead, please.
News and
please
podcasts. Yeah. I know you've only seen episode 1 of this series, but if we talk about it a little bit, because it's a South Korean Netflix original series and it's different. Juvenile Justice. It's I equate it to a lawyer series because that's kind of essentially what it is, but it's about a judge that comes over to a group of people who look after young offenders from 14 and under. And the law states that even if you kill somebody at the age of 14 or under, you won't go to jail. You will just go to what they call is like it's not even jail. It's just a home for rehabilitation, like a rehabilitation center for a maximum of 2 years. And because of that, you can get away with a lot as a youngster. I remember there were 2 14-year-old kids that killed a young baby here in the UK when they watched Child's Play. Don't know if you ever saw that. It was a big thing. And so they went, and their story was they had watched Child's Play and they thought it was Chucky. So they killed the child. Yeah, and I don't need to go any more into details about that, but that's horrific. So I was very interested to see how they were going to do this, because the law itself is very interesting. And then when you learn about this series that all of the cases are based in fact, you're like, oh crap. Okay, so this is really dark. Yeah. But what makes it interesting is this: the woman judge that is kind of the lead of the group. She hates kids, and she just doesn't like them, man. And you're like, oh crap. Okay, I don't like you as a character. How do I like you?
No, you're absolutely right. From the very beginning, I mean, it's within like the first couple of minutes that's revealed that it's hatred for them. I mean, she uses the word hatred, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. How? Ooh, I don't want to show up in front of you. That's.
But you do find out why, and her character is fleshed out somewhat. But what I really like is like each case really spends a lot of time with the families on either side. So whether the kids or what's happened with government, because there's one that's kind of like it goes into a bit of politics and who's involved with that. But the first case, I think, is just 2 episodes where they spend time with the family, and you see the hurt and the brokenness of what has happened with that family after they've even solved the case. They spend some time there, and I thought it was so brave for them to do that, because not a lot of stories would spend time like once it's solved, that's it, right? You move on. Yeah, but this time they were really kind of showcasing what happens, and I think the acting is great, from especially like the youngsters who have to play the vileness of them or the brokenness. I think just in episode 1 you'll see. I don't know if it's in episode 1, but that one kid that's brought to court and he's got to answer some questions, and you see him laughing and giggling about what he's done, and you're like, dude, you were gone.
Yeah.
Or is he? And so as the story unfolds, you're like, this is way worse than I thought. And that was before I was like, the cinematography is fantastic when it's not in court. They do some of the shots, like she chases one person. She's often going out to get her suspects. She doesn't really have jurisdiction, but she's a very hands-on judge. And she like kind of pulls them in and like, I'm going to take you down or not.
I'm only in one episode in, and I was, especially by the end of it, I was hooked. I mean, I was like, ooh, okay, this is.
It does take a bit of time to get into it.
And she is off-putting at the beginning. The judge, she's.
Yeah.
I mean, she's built that way. You know, they have done the character that way. It was funny. My wife, as we were watching, she's like, "Is she kind of like House?" You know, remember Hugh Laurie's House? You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, maybe, I guess. I don't know how it's going to go, but I can certainly see that. That's a good observation there, because
I don't think I ever fully liked House.
Well,
as a character, he was the worst.
I don't think. See, that's the thing. I don't think you're supposed to absolutely like him, but yet you see how brilliant and dedicated he is, even though he's comes across as just a terrible person a lot of the time. And so this one, I think, her, I mean, and I'm glad to hear that we get to learn more about her story as it goes along and just more of her background. But I mean, the cases, at least so far, this first case, it starts out pretty harrowing. I'm like, that is oof.
Yeah. It's heavy. Yeah. I like how they just get into it. Like, okay, this is what you're in for, guys. And they don't shy away from it, really. They kind of show you what's happened, or, like flashbacks or recreations or whatever. Or you get to see what happens as if you're there. And there's a lot more that comes into play. So they show you the ins and outs. And I guess that could sound boring, like of the politics of the law, but I found it quite riveting. The way they did it, because it's so different when it comes to youngsters. There's a big feeling of, this is so unjust. This is so unfair. One year older and you go to jail for 20 years minimum. But because you're 14, you can get away with it. 2 years and you're out, which just means if they don't get the help that they need, whatever's making them like this, they're gonna do it again and worse, or maybe multiply it.
And it also means that they can game the system. If you truly have somebody who is
absolutely,
who's not maybe mentally challenged in a way, and I don't know, that's really not the right term that I'm trying to find, but it's just you know what I mean, like they're maybe incapable of fully understanding all of their decisions, versus a person who sees, well, you know what, I've been wanting to do this. If I do it now, nothing's really going to happen to me. And that's.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much psychology there to talk about, because absolutely, the young kids' brain aren't fully developed, and there's a massive change between even 14 to 18. The whole brain and literally changes. Like, it goes from one side to the other, and you reform as a person, and you start becoming that adult. It's a real thing. But that doesn't mean the choices you made during that time aren't, don't have consequences. You're still human. You still make those decisions, and might be influenced by emotion. But that, then that comes down to upbringing, parents, your government. That's why we have government and places like this. I think a
deeper question too is, if it's in the case of a murder, you've taken somebody's life. You know what I mean? That's irrevocable from their side of it. Because it's complex, I think.
In some places in America, a couple of years later, you'd be hanged or executed for that. So I don't know if there's hanging in America, but I know there's some states that still have electric
lethal
chair
injection,
gas. Lethal injection, Is electric chair gone?
Yeah. I think it's I don't even think the gas chamber is. I think it's all lethal injection.
All right.
now.
Okay.
Except one time, I think somebody did choose firing squad. I want to say that was like in Texas, which makes sense. I don't know.
You can choose that.
Don't quote me on that, but I thought I remembered something like that. That was kind of a weird
I'm laughing because it's just like,
yeah. Well,
what
I
is
think
this, a Western?
we have some weird laws still on the books. You know what I mean? And so you
Yeah.
have the opportunity, I think, to be able to do that. Like, you're not allowed to ride an ostrich on Tuesdays down Main Street while wearing a cowboy hat. Wednesdays you can, but not Tuesdays. Yeah,
I totally want to do that. I totally want to do that on Tuesday to see if anybody enforces
just
the
because,
law.
yeah.
Just
So yeah, I don't know. It's very weird.
But isn't even your right to bear arms the Second Amendment? Wasn't that done during the war, the Civil War, when you had musket guns and you have the right to bear arms, you can protect your neighbor. But yeah, I heard someone talking about it recently, saying that it's not the same law anymore because they didn't, if they knew that you had like automatic weapons and tanks, and it's a little different. You have the right to bear a tank or a grenade launcher or an automatic rifle. I think laws sometimes need to be looked at again, like your ostrich riding friend.
Yeah. I think the opportunity to always re-examine laws, to know that, what, we should be able to learn from, and apply what's relevant today. Just because it was this way when the law was written, because it was applicable then, the situation and the circumstances have changed, just from either technology or access or anything. And so
it is different.
It makes sense that we would evolve our laws the same way that our interactions evolve.
I mean, we evolve our internet laws, so it makes sense. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. Anyway, I've brought us into a different conversation. Let us know in the comments below. Do you like guns? I used to play Nerf guns with my kids.
I had one of my first real jobs. I was working at a radio station, and I bought everybody in our department Nerf guns, and we would just occasionally have Nerf wars, and it actually spread through the building. Oh yeah, we because our buildings were separated. Also, at one point, we as a group got up and went and attacked the accounting department, who all had guns also. But yeah, it was it was
amazing.
Anyway, I had one of those.
I'm guessing you didn't get a lot done.
I had one of those that was it shot the mini Nerf darts, and it held 50 of them. No. It was little darts. So they were small darts, not the bigger darts. And it was like a machine gun. And so it was, I want to say it was battery powered, and it held like 50 just in this, like, it looked like a beehive almost at the front. It was amazing.
Were you like,
hello to my
little friend?
The sucky thing, though, is after you shoot them, you have to go around and find all of these darts that are just everywhere. I mean, it was...
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah. If you're playing with your kids, like, I sit down, okay, find the darts. Yeah. We set up like little dens, and then, however many times you get hit is how many lives you have or something. But I always used to get picked on because they teamed up.
There you go.
So
come
at me from both sides.
You know what? It's the way you do it. Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
cool. Well, I think we've reached the end of our video portion. You are more than welcome to join us over on the audio podcast, where we're going to discuss news and the things that we're looking forward to this coming week. But we always, thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe if you have not. What are the best things that you watched this week? Let us know in the comments. I meant to say this earlier, but I had gotten two comments from last week of just some of the things that other people were watching. And one was A Monster Calls, which I don't think I've ever seen that movie. Have you seen that? It's okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah,
it's an amazing film.
I need to check that one out.
Really, really sad. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just one to plop on whenever. It's be in kind of a melancholy mood or something like that, or a serious mood. Okay. Cool. And then there was a couple of documentaries, and I didn't actually get to either of them. It was one. It was called Downfall on Netflix about Boeing.
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to see it.
I never got to it.
And then people are watching Vox Machina and Space Force Season 2. But hey, if you are enjoying it, enjoy it. So, but we would love to hear what you're watching. maybe it adds something to our list. So let us know in the comments. And yeah, Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.